What is up, people? It is MewMonster58. Welcome back to another video review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan class Star Optimus Prime. Now, I'm not exactly sure where Star Optimus comes from. This is a character, at least a version of Optimus Prime that I'm not super familiar with, but if I had to assume, if I have seen from sort of the context from other reviews and stuff like that online that this is essentially like a more Japanese only version of Optimus Prime, which totally makes sense because when you look at the design, he's very Gundam-esque when you look at his design. He has a lot of elements like the head crest, the chest crest, those in particular, they really are Gundam-esque. But overall, this is a figure I wasn't the most looking forward to, but I was definitely interested in seeing how it was. And so, taking a look at the box here, you can see it's very nice. You can see all the really cool artwork there of all the 13, or at least a lot of the 13 primes. You can see Onyx, Megatronus, I think that's Prima, Vector, Alchemist, as well as I think that's Solus. And then we have the very nice artwork there you can see of Optimus Prime with the Matrix of Leadership. You can see the very nice base mode. You can see the truck mode as well. It converts in 30 steps. You can see all that 13-star Optimus Prime, Age of the Primes. Turning here on the side, I'm not exactly sure how well you can see that, but he does have some pretty nice artwork there on the side. Yeah, sorry, but there's not much room behind it. But you can see some very nice artwork there of Optimus on the side. Some more nice artwork here of the Prime stuff as usual on the side. And then on the back, you can see your obligatory product shots of pretty much everything that this thing comes with. And it comes with a fair bit of stuff because when it comes to this figure, everyone has already sort of said this about this figure, is that it is a Titan class figure, but certainly much smaller than all the other Titans. And you'll see that because I actually brought in Omega Supreme in today, just to give you an idea, because Omega Supreme, more the general size Titan, brought him in today to do the comparison so you can see how big this guy is in comparison, or how much smaller he is. He's not that much smaller, but he's certainly a fair bit smaller overall. But as you can see, all these nice product shots, Star Optimus Prime, the 30 steps, 36 steps there as well. And so, with the box, I think the box is really, really cool. And they're really hammering home, especially on the top of the box. I even showed that to you. You can see on the top of the box, there's all the icons for all the primes. What I think they're doing is they're really hammering home, and they've confirmed this, that there's essentially going to be something that we'll be able to make when we've gotten all the 13 primes and their artifacts together, if you have all 13 of the artifacts. So I'm very curious to see what that'll end up being, but this box is clearly hammering that home, that there will be something that you can combine them all into making something, right? We'll see what it is, but I think that's really it for the box, folks. And so, without further ado, alrighty, folks, and here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan class Star Optimus Prime in his truck mode. And I gotta say, guys, this is pretty cool looking. It also looks a bit ridiculous, but when you're looking at this, definitely it's big and it represents the original toy especially really well. Now, a lot of the big question with this figure is if it's this small in comparison to a normal average size Titan, like Tidal Wave, Omega Supreme, the Arc, the Nemesis, any of the other Titans that we've gotten, why is this guy a Titan class figure? And if I had to guess, I don't remember if they talked about this maybe on the Hasbro Pulse live stream, if they ended up revealing this guy on there. But essentially, to my understanding, when I was watching I was skimming through that Toy Guys review, and he has the original toy, and the one thing that he compared is that when you look at the original toy in comparison to this one, they're almost the same size. They're relatively similar in size. And so I think the main reason they made this guy a Titan is because of that very fact. Now, I could totally be wrong about that. But the other thing, too, is for me, I personally would have rather have this been a Commander class figure. I think especially when you're putting this guy alongside the other primes, him being essentially a little bit bigger than the Combiners, he's a little bit bigger than Menasor and Superion, and a little bit bigger than Devastator, or around the same size as Devastator, more or less. The new Devastator, even. That SS86 one. I don't know. I think they could have had a more concise and a more sort of fun figure with a Commander class figure. I just think that would have suited this a little bit better. But again, they probably wanted to emulate the fact of the size of the original toy, which I totally understand as well. If that was the actual reason why. But getting into the vehicle, I just wanted to address that because I know that that's a point of contention. I'm not saying it's a bad Titan. I'm just saying I do think it is a tad large, right? So taking a look at the vehicle mode, you can see it's actually really cool. You got some really nice molded in detail across the board here. You can see it across the side here, the nice Autobot logo right over here, the nice painted stripes to homage, obviously, the sort of original G1 design of Optimus Prime. And you can see all the nice wheels and stuff like that. It's just some really nice molded in detail across the board. It's just a bit funky of a truck, you know. It looks really funky. It's definitely not conventional. You can obviously see where the legs and stuff are. It's pretty obvious where it all is, but overall, it's really long. And that's the other thing too. I'll say it's very long. We can see some nice details there in the front. We'll zoom in on some more details here on the side. You can see some nice molded in detail across the board here on the side. Yeah, up close to that Autobot logo. The treads are pretty nice too. They actually have wheels on them too, which is nice. They actually have like wheels, but they're not, you know. But it's nice to see. Then on the bottom, you can see his chest and everything like that. So when it comes to this vehicle mode, there is some cool stuff. You can see the nice gold here for where his kneecaps are and stuff like that. So overall, it's a pretty solid truck mode, but definitely this isn't his, not pun intended, but this is definitely not his star mode, you know. It definitely is his robot mode. And so, when we're going from this, what I'm going to do is actually show off pretty much all the accessories, because there's a lot that comes with this guy, and that's obviously to make up for the fact that he's not the same size as a average Titan. And so we're going to take a look at all the accessories right now, because I'd rather get those out of the way, because they do have some applications here in the vehicle mode. So, take a look at it if you want to access some of them. So, you actually have some trailer bits here. So on the back of the vehicle mode, you have these bits that fold down, and these will essentially act like, like trailer ramps and stuff like that. So you have the ramps right there. Those are pretty nice. But the other way you can access it is if you just fold these open. So you can fold these open, which will become his feet and his legs and everything. And then you can see they're stored in there. Now this can peg in there, but I like to just keep it like that because it doesn't really do anything. But here's this. This ends up becoming part of Hot Rod. So we'll take this and set this off to the side for now. But here is part of one of his other accessories. I forget exactly what this is for, but mainly you can put some of the blast effects on here and make sort of like a little flame sword. But it's another little piece here. I believe this also works with the thing in his chest you'll eventually see. But here's a nice little piece. It's got 5mm here, it's got a peg here, and it's got a peg here. So we have this. This is, well, dropped it because I'm Mr. Drops a lot, I guess. But it looks pretty nice, nothing too crazy. It has some nice detail on it. We'll set this off to the side for now. And then in here, this, you can put this in either side, by the way, either of these in either side, but this is a bit tough to remove. I always have trouble removing that. But removing this is the little truck that he comes with, and you can see the nice Autobot logo with the star Autobot logo. This also is a trailer as well, where you can actually put, and I'll show you, you can actually put Hot Rod in there. So put him in there like so, and then he fits in quite nicely. But you can see some nice molded in detail, you know, the red stripe, the nice windows, the wheels. These are actually rollable wheels, but he doesn't really roll all that well. You can also remove this, and then you can have you have a peg up here, and you can peg it into either one of these 5mm ports to act like a gun. So they acted like this. You could do this or something like that. But because we're showing this off, we'll show off Hot Rod as well. So, or excuse me, Rodimus, Rodimus. Same character, just in different positions. But we have Rodimus, excuse me, we have Rodimus here, and he does look pretty nice. You can see the nice Autobot logo right there. You can see the nice details across the board. He does look good. The silver here. The wheels also roll pretty well. To transform this guy, it's very simple. So just move the arms like this. You can fold down the chest like this, and then you can rotate this guy around like that. And you fold the feet down like that, and then there you have Rodimus in his little robot mode. It does look really nice, and the integration with the turret. So this is Optimus's like little gun and turret thing that Rodimus can use. So if you fold it up like this is a gun that Optimus can use. You can see some nice molded in detail across the board. Black here and the blue there. Looks pretty solid overall, but then you fold it down like this, and then you see that little clip right there will clip onto this little slot right there, and then you can just peg that in. Now, you can attach Rodimus to this. So you have to fold down what the feet were, and then what you'll see here is essentially these little grooves here. It's a bit tricky the first time around, and I still have trouble doing this. You just kind of push that in, and then you can fold, and then you can lock these into place essentially, like that. You can lock it into place. So again, you can just come here, you can just do your best to peg that into place, and then you can fold this up and just lock that into place, and then you can have him lean back, and then you can have him hold his little turret here, and then like I said, you can plug that up here on top of this like so if you wish to do that. So that is pretty cool. Nice little accessory. I'm personally not going to have him like this, but we'll actually keep Rodimus like this for now. Well, actually, yeah, I think we'll just probably keep him like this for now. Yeah, we'll keep him like this for now. Now, I was originally just going to show you the reverse transformation for Rodimus, but it's so simple that why should I even bother? Because it's really, really simple. There's nothing really crazy about it, but he does look really cool. So, like, this is really nice, but it's not my speed, right? There's a lot of things about this figure that are just not my speed. It's more definitely that play value. But overall, it's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. They had to give you a way to justify a sort of more regular Titan class price point for a figure that is not as big as a conventional Titan, right? So, what we're going to do is we're going to set this, and we're going to set this off to the side for now, as well as this, like I said. But you also have a blast effect for his Ion Blaster, so it looks really, really cool. You can see the nice blue plastic, and speaking of the Ion Blaster, here it is. It's huge, looks really, really good. You have some pegs here and here. You also have a little bullet that comes with it. This can plug right in here, and then what you can do with this is there's a peg right in the barrel of the gun, and then you can just plug that in, and that looks pretty freaking cool, right? Like, I really do like how that looks. That's really, really neat, and I'm very, very happy with how that looks. So, very nice stuff. Nothing too crazy, but it does look really, really good. So, setting those off to the side, you also have a ton of blast effects. So, you have this, and then you have all the individual segments and stuff like that that you can rip apart, and then you can use this. I'm actually probably going to use these for like photos in general. And then here's this bit. You can just plug that right in, and then here's like a little flame sword that he has. But yeah, you have these ones, and then you have some extra tips. So you have a couple extra ones that you can bring along here. These are pretty much the same exact. I don't see any really major difference between these two. So you have 2 extra tips here, and then you also have 2 of these, and these look pretty good as well. So obviously you have the segments here, you have that segment, you have that segment. So more blast effects, more, as Emgo would say, more blooshes, right? So obviously really, really cool. I'm definitely going to more than likely be keeping these up here with me so that I can use them for other reviews. But yeah, comes with a lot of stuff. So that's the majority of pretty much all the accessories that this guy comes with. He comes with a fair bit of stuff, and then you can just close these and plug these back up. So when it comes to all the accessories, they're really cool. It's just at the same time, I don't know if that quite makes up for, you know, the lack of size for this guy. Because there's like this push and pull, right, where you want him to be the size of a regular Titan, but they couldn't really feasibly do that given how big a conventional Titan is and how much bigger that would be. He's already really huge in comparison to like Megatronus, who's by far the biggest of the primes that we have currently as of this moment, except for obviously Optimus Prime here. But yeah, overall, when it comes to the accessories, they are really cool. It's just, again, I'm more indifferent about it just considering, like, I personally wish this was more of, like, a commander-sized figure, or, well, a commander-class figure with a leader-class size, right? I just would have preferred that for this guy, but overall, accessories are really nice. They did a really solid job with all of them. I have no complaints with the accessories. It's just the actual package as a whole that still might give me a little bit of an irk. Alrighty, folks, and now what we're going to do is we're going to get into the transformation. Now, this is a different transformation, and mainly it's going to be into his base mode, because he's already in his vehicle mode. We're just going to essentially go from truck to base mode, and then we're going to go from base mode to robot mode. So, for the base mode, it's very interesting. So, well, not very interesting, but it's certainly unique. We're going to take these side panels and then we flare them off to the side here. Then we're going to take this section, we're going to fold this up, and then we are going to fold this. And then what you'll see here is that there's a tab slot hole right there. There's a tab right there at the top, and then you just fold this down, tab that into place, and then fold these back down. So from here, what you want to do is you probably want to unfold the legs, and then you want to get these back out of the way, as these will perma be folded out like so, and then you can sort of accordion these, and then you want to fold this waist up and sort of fold it up like this. And then what you want to do is you want to bend this at the waist of what the robot is. So you bend that at the waist, and then you can essentially just more or less leave these bits where they are. Like, you can just leave it like this. Then from here, what you're going to want to do, come down here to the bottom, and then you remove the tread section, because the whole tread section is actually a separate piece like this. Then what you do with the tread section is you take the tread section, you fold these bits out, you then take these bits and you fold these bits out, so you can see that they're separated here on both sides. So you fold both of those sections out like so, then you fold this, then you fold this, like this, and then you have this basically transformed. Then from here, what you're going to do is you're going to transform his upper torso, essentially how you would transform it into his robot mode, and it's pretty simple. So we come here to this, and then you transform this out like this. So you bring these out, you fold both of these down, you can take this, you can split it and rotate these around. What you want to do is open the chest, rotate the head out like so, then you're going to want to fold these back in like that. Then you want to fold the chest back in. Then you can rotate these down. Now what you're going to want to do is take these panels. You're going to want to fold them up like so. You're going to want to fold these down. Rotate this around. Rotate these off to the side. Then you want to put both of the arms in sort of like perma bend elbow mode. I'll bring this up a little bit here so you can see it a bit better. And then from here, you're going to want to fold out these panels. You're going to want to push down, and then you're going to rotate all the way around like that. Then you want to push these back up, and then you want to fold this down. Do the same here. So you want to fold this section down, push the fist will become the fist down, rotate this all the way around, push this back up, fold that panel back in, then you just rotate this off to the side. Well, take this panel, fold it down so you have clearance, then you rotate this off to the side. Then what you're going to want to do is take this blue post, and you want to fold the section down for extra stability. And then what you'll notice is that when you have this piece on that little blue post, there's a little peg. You can see that right there on the side. And what you'll end up doing is you'll take this section, you'll see that there's a peg hole right there. You want to peg this right into place like so. Sort of bring it back. And by the way, I apologize if you see stuff on the side. It's just this guy is large enough to still fit on my review display, but at the same time, he's a little too big to where I can't do anything except show you, a little bit off of the studio part of what this guy actually is. But ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan Class Star Optimus Prime in his base mode. Now, guys, when it comes to his base mode, this is just whatever. To me, this is more or less for the kids. I don't really care personally for this at all. Like, it looks really funky. It has some neat features which I'll end up showing off, but I don't care. I'm sorry, guys. If you like this, you like this, especially for a kid. A kid will love this. And that's obviously really, really cool, because this obviously isn't plainly marketed for just an adult collector, right? So at the end of the day, this has a lot of value for a kid, but for me, it just doesn't really do anything. But I'll show you some features. So, the major feature that I'll end up showing off is obviously when this guy doesn't really have necessarily a place, but what I saw people do is you unplug this and you can put this like this, and then you can like put him here and like, ooh, here's a little gun. But the other thing you can do too is obviously have Optimus hold his accessories, which I'll show those in robot mode. But you can have him hold the accessories. I'll actually have him hold the flame sword, so you can just plug that in like so, and then he'll just hold that in like this, and then you can obviously have him hold his ion blaster, so we'll just plug that in like this on his other hand, and then you can have that. So that's pretty cool. But the other thing too is when you look at this section here, what you can do is you can actually plug Rodimus here onto this little peg right here, and we'll kind of move Optimus's arm because you need a little bit more clearance to do this. But what you'll notice is that there's like a little circle right here with a little trackpad. Essentially, this will rotate. Like, you can have him spin. So that's really funny. Like, the fact that you can do that. That's cool. Like, it's a nice little feature. They didn't need to add it, but the fact is they did. So that's really it for his base mode. I don't really have that much else to show off with this, right? So it's nothing to write home about. I guess one thing I will show because we're here is you can open up the chest, and I'd rather show this here than when he's in robot mode, but because it makes more sense to me in base mode. So what you can do is you can remove Rodimus here, and then what you can do is actually this little piece here, this blue piece, is of its own accessory, and this came in plugged onto the flame sword bit in the actual packaging on the hilt. But it does look cool. You can see obviously the star here. That looks really, really cool. Like, it looks really good. I actually had it backwards in there. But there's a small peg hole in there, and then you can just peg this right in. It's really not that big of a deal. Right, and then you have that pegged in. What you can also do is you can have Rodimus just sitting here, so you can just have, you can just sort of transform him. You can have him, well, not really, just have him sit like this, right, and then you can actually have Rodimus. They show this in the instructions. You can just have him sit in the chest and act it like a base of operations, right? So there's a lot of options you can do with this. Nothing crazy, but again, this this mode has no value for me, but obviously for other people it will, specifically for kids. And I do respect them for adding it in like this, especially I believe that this was also a thing in the actual, the original toy. So respect to Hasbro for still implementing this as an option for someone who would wish to do that. So at the end of the day, even though I don't care that much for it, it is still pretty nice. Even though it does look really weird, it's nice that they implemented it, period. Alrighty, folks, and we're going to now just transform him into robot mode. So from here, what we're going to do is we're just going to remove this bit, and then we're just going to fold that blue panel up there. We'll just fold everything back down like we did before, like that, like that. Rotate this around, and you can fold these gray bits. And then what we'll do is we will very simply just remove some of the stuff from his hands, just so they doesn't get in the way. I'm just going to remove some of this, and we're just going to get Rodimus out of his chest. Move that off to this. Actually, I'll just show you, transform him back. Since we're here, just do this. Do this, then you can, plug these together, rotate this all the way around. Oh, whoops, fold these up. That's my bad. Fold these up, rotate this around, plug those in, and then you have the tabs on either side, and then you have tabs on the inside of his forearms. You just plug those in like that, and there you have Rodimus back in his very cool car mode. But, setting that guy off to the side. From there, what you want to do, close the chest back up, fold this up. Then we're going to actually have to get closer, and then we're going to have to increase the height because, this guy's pretty tall, right? So that, then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take the waist, and you're going to want to, bend the legs at not the waist. So sort of get these out of the way. Then you want to fold these like so that you can straighten him out. Then from here, you can fold the feet, fold those toes up, rotate these and close them like so. Then we can split the legs, fold these down like this. What you'll notice is as you accordion these, there'll be a peg hole right there, and then there are these pegs on both sides, and you can just sort of do that on both sides like that. So, all the way up here. It was like this before, so you want to rotate it around, then fold this waist part, fold that in, then sort of straighten this guy out. And then what you want to do is take these sections. So if it was like this, right, you want to split them, and then you can just plug these. Actually, was it? No, it was. Oh yeah, it was like that. Yeah, plug these back in. There's just a series of pegs that you'll be able to peg these guys into, and peg that. Just gotta line that up correctly, like that. And well, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't plug those in correctly. That's my fault. Here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan-class Star Optimus Prime in his really amazing-looking robot mode. And this is where this figure is really, really good. Now, again, I apologize for, you can see off of my review screen and everything like that, my review studio, so I apologize for that. You can see my switch there on the right and my fan on the left, but regardless, you can see he looks really, really good. All these little details are really awesome, and I really do love how this guy looks, period. Like, when we're taking a look at him, I'll try and bring him a bit closer. The head sculpt is just really cool. I mean, look at that head sculpt. It's awesome. The crest here, the detail there. I mean, you can see he just looks really, really cool. And obviously, you can see you do a full 360. The chest is really, really cool here as well. You can see the nice details on the lights here, on the crotch piece. Details here. I don't know, he has this awesome presence to him. And I'm a really big fan of how he actually looks in this mode. Like a really solid, and he feels good. Now, I'm not going to say he doesn't feel as good as like a conventional Titan, because I was holding Omega Supreme. Omega Supreme's way heavier. Excuse me. That's also due to his size being smaller. But at the end of the day, I will say he kind of can feel a little bit light in comparison to what we've expected from Titan class figures before, but overall, I think he's a really good looking robot, and especially when you turn him to the side, he's really clean. Like, there's nothing at all obstructing him, and so displaying him, despite him being rather large, there's not going to be really a major issue with this guy at all when it comes to displaying him, unless you just don't have the room for him. So overall, when it comes to how this guy looks, I'm really, really happy with how he looks visually, and yeah, like, you can see all the details just look really, really solid. So I'm personally happy with how he looks. So what we're going to do is we're going to set this guy out to the side, and we're going to do a couple of size comparisons. So I'm looking at the camera because I have to stand up to do this, so I apologize if it's a little disjointed. Let's see, can we push this guy back a little bit? Yeah. So we're going to set this guy off to the side here. Alrighty, folks, for our first little comparison, here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Infernac Universe Deluxe Class Magnus. As you can see, this guy is really small in comparison to him. Now, like I said, when we bring in Omega Supreme here, you'll definitely see the size difference between a regular Titan and Star Optimus Prime, and then you can make your decision about how you feel about the size. Again, I just personally wish, again, I still wish it was a Commander rather than at a leader size rather than a full Titan, not even at a Titan size. I just think that they could have had a more concise figure by making him a Commander. That's me personally. You guys can disagree with me, but that doesn't mean he doesn't look good. I still think he does look really, really good. That's just something I'll point out, right? So overall, you can see the general size here. Deluxe is very small in comparison to Star Optimus. Star Optimus, like I said, is about the size of Studio Series 86 Devastator-ish, around that size, so combiner-ish. Alrighty, folks, and sorry I can't get him in the full frame because I just do not have the room. But here he is with the Transformers Titan Class Siege Omega Supreme. And as you can see, there really is a really big size difference. I mean, Optimus comes out to about, like, if you count his ears, his antennae, they come up to about Omega Supreme's chest. So you can see there is a massive size difference between these two, especially in the weight. Omega Supreme definitely just feels like he has this heft to him in comparison to Optimus. Obviously, the size is a big factor in that. But this obviously begs the question of whether this guy was worth the Titan class price point at all, or whether he should have just been made into a smaller class size point instead, a smaller size class instead of this. But they still look really nice together. It's just, I personally still feel that Star Optimus just feels too big, especially amongst his other primes, right? Like, I don't know if that's something that anyone else feels or something like that, but I just feel he is a little bit too large. I just wish he was more concise. But when it comes to the size here, this is obviously a point of contention for people. I won't say it's bad or good. I'll just leave it to your discretion. Alrighty, folks, and it's time for the articulation, and this is where this figure is a little bit disappointing. Not that it's bad, but it's a little bit disappointing. So the head is on the swivel, like I showed you, so you can get a full 360 out of this, right? So you can get a full 360 out of this guy. You can look a little bit down, but that's more due to transformation. Then you have full 360 here at the shoulders with these nice ratchets. You can go out about that far. You can go in. You have rotation at the, you have a bend, 90-degree bend at the elbow, which you would hope it was a little bit more, but you have rotation here at the upper part of the elbow as well, and then you also have wrist articulation, and then you have opening and closing fists like that, but it's the four fingers that are placed together here. You have full waist, as you saw as well, and then these skirt pieces will also lift up for articulation, so you can do this. So we'll just get this out of the way. For the legs, you can kick forward, you can kick back, you also have pretty far actually. Then you have a little less than 90, especially when you have these bits attached on the back. It just inhibits, you can see where it inhibits the articulation there. You have, they're on ratchets though, which is nice. You have rotation here at the upper part of the thigh, and then you have ankle rocker pivot. But you can see this guy, despite him being quite large and, at that Titan price point, unfortunately he doesn't move as well as, maybe you would like him to move. He's definitely a bit inhibited by sort of his chunkiness overall as a figure. Now, this obviously contributes to him looking really good, but it does hamper some of the functionality. Not that this guy can't pose really well. He actually has all of the tools that you would expect out of articulation in general, right? He has a waist joint. He's got ratchets in all of his major places that he would expect them to. He has some solid ankle rocker pivot, but because of his chunkiness, like the knee bend, for example, even the 90-degree at the elbow, you would expect him to have a little more articulation than that. And sure, some of the other Titans, most of them actually, really they weren't able to, I guess, move, right? They weren't able to necessarily go in the most dynamic poses possible. But at the end of the day, I do think that in terms of articulation, because this is like, it's a Titan, not a Titan because he's smaller than a Titan, but he's too big to be a Commander, right? There's just, he's bigger than Jetfire too, he's bigger than Skyfire, the Commander Skyfire. There's just a lot that goes into this. In terms of articulation, it's not bad per se, but it certainly is more limited than you'd like it. Alrighty, folks, in time for the reverse transformation. Now, what I'll say is I didn't mention these for the previous transformations. The other thing about this guy that sort of makes him, like, sort of like it feels weird for him to be a Titan. I'm not saying all the Titans didn't have all the Titans had complex transformations, but this guy's transformation is ridiculously simple. I think you guys have pretty much gathered that. There's nothing crazy at all about his transformation. He is very, very straightforward with how this guy really transforms. There's nothing that I would say in this that's like super unique or that is super, like frustrating or anything like that. It's just the fact is it's a very simple transformation. And so we're going to transform him right now. So very simple. We're just going to remove all the accessories that he has. And then what you'll see here is we'll straighten him all out. Like so. And I'm going to sit back down for this, so give me a second. Alrighty, we are sat back down. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to plug the legs together. And you want to make sure they're plugged in here on the back, particularly down here. And then from here, what you can do is just leave it like this. Then what we're going to do is come up here to the top. So I apologize if you can't quite see the top, but you'll get the idea. So you can fold this down, and then you can fold the chest out, then fold these panels back out as well. Take the head, then you can just fold this all the way in. And then what you can do is you just fold the chest back up like this, like I recommend. And then from here, what you can do is you can take these arms, and we'll probably bring him down a bit here. Take these arms, and then you can untab them and rotate them around like this. And then what you'll do is you'll get them rotated like this, just to get them started. Makes it easier to line everything up, in my opinion, like that. Lift that up like so. Then you want to take the hands, you can fold these panels out, then you can push these down, rotate the fists all the way around, rotate them around. You have to push it out, sorry to do that. Fold that back in, then you can rotate this to the back, and then you can take this panel, you can fold it like so. Then you can sort of rotate this up like this. Sort of get it in position to get pegged in together. Same on the other side. Rotate this around, or fold that out. Then take this around like so. Fold that like that. Fold that down. Bend it like so. Take this panel, fold it like this. Take these sections, you can rotate them forward to where they're facing. The guns are facing the pointed bits here. Then you can sort of rotate this up. Then plug these up together like this, peg them in. Then what you'll see is that there are tiny little tabs on either side here, and then there are slot pieces here, so you just fold those in like this. Take this section, rotate it all the way around. Then you can start to set this guy down. Now we can go lower. Jesus, my arms hurt from holding him like that. So sorry if it was banging around, because there's this arm you can't see. It's like right here below, and it sticks out like a good 3 or 4 inches. So I apologize for me banging around, but what you can do is you have to straighten the legs out too. Make sure those are straight. Straighten that out like that. Then from here you can fold the toes down, then you take this section, fold it out, rotate this all the way around like this, plug those back down, and then you'll see there are 2 little tabs here, and as you untab this, and this part, I'll complain about this part is, that part likes to not tab it. Then you can accordion this, these will plug in like this. You can do the same on the other side. I know you can't see it. I apologize for that, but you get the... And again, that part came off. Well, you'll see it now because I have to see it because, unfortunately, well, that part came unplugged. Plug that back in like so. And then if you want to store the stuff, what I'm going to show you is when you open up the legs, you can see there are pegs there. See, there are pegs like that, right? So there are 2 peg holes on the bottom of this, and then you just go in here, and then you can just... Takes a little bit of doing, but push that in. And then on this side, you can take the bottom of the hilt of that sword, place that in there, and then you can take this section. What I like to do is you can fold this around like this, and then you can just sort of stuff it in there however you wish. I like to stuff it like that. Then you can fold these back up like so. And then if you want to, you can also store the gun. Oh, I apologize. One thing I forgot here. You fold this part of the waist down like this, and then you can just fold this up like that. So my apologies there, because that gives you the ability to plug the gun right here. You can plug the gun there. You can even plug the blast effect if you wish, right? But you can plug the gun right there. And then you can even take one of these sections. You can actually put Rodimus in there, but we're not going to really care to do that right now. But ladies and gentlemen, here we have the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan class Star Optimus Prime back in his truck mode. And so guys, for my final and concluding thoughts on the Transformers Age of the Primes Titan class Star Optimus Prime, this guy is solid. It's just, I know I've been going on about whether this guy should be a Titan or not in the video, but I just really do think it would have been better off as a Commander class figure. I think he would have sized a little bit better with the other Primes, because he kind of just stands out like a sore thumb when you're comparing him, because as we've confirmed up until this point, I'm recording this on the 28th of July, so this will be Monday, we just got revealed Quintus, Amalgamus, these are figures that are going to be Voyager Deluxe, right? And Megatronus is the biggest so far at the leader. Prime is even a Voyager. Solus is a Deluxe. These are going to be not huge characters. So this guy kind of just stands out like a sore thumb. And it's not bad. It's just, I don't know, I wish the size was a little bit smaller. But I get they probably wanted to make this figure more or less close to the original toy size, given how close they already are when you compare them 1-to-1, right? And so the bad things that this figure does is mainly, well, the articulation is a little bit more to be desired just because he's a bit chunky, so it's hard to move him around, and so you can't get him in some super dynamic poses. In addition to that, there's a lot of him that kind of feels a little bit loose, like those panels on the side falling off. I also don't think that the legs plug in all that well, like the panels for the fronts of the legs, or, where you can store, like, all the accessories. Those feel a bit loose as well sometimes. I'm just not the biggest fan of it, but he does feel relatively hefty. It's just, especially when you compare him to a regular Titan, a more average size Titan, like Omega Supreme, the Nemesis, Scorponok, Fort Max, he definitely feels a lot lighter, and it's, does this guy actually deserve to be Titan? Because at the end of the day, he's just a little bit bigger than the combiners that we currently are in the process of getting, or that we already have with, like, Menasor, right? And so, overall, what this figure does really well is all the modes look really solid. It's just, for me, it's not that the base mode is bad by any stretch of the imagination. It does look kind of funky, but it has a lot of play value in it. The paint and the details are really nice across the board. And the accessories, although there are a lot of them, they do help make up for the fact that this guy isn't the same size as a conventional Titan. Rodimus looks pretty cool. He transforms very simply, but he has some nice integrations. All the blast effects are always welcome to always have extra blooshes, as Emgo would say. Just to have all those extra, ability to use them in displays and whatnot. It's really nice to have some extra blast effects and stuff like that. Also, the Ion Blaster looks really nice. The little truck that Rodimus can go in looks really nice. In addition, the star on, like, sort of the star matrix of leadership, in his chest looks really good, as well as the blast effect also looks really good on the actual Ion Blaster, the big blue one, right? That looks really solid as well. And so out of a 10, I'm going to give this guy an 8. I still think it is worth a pickup, because I think he's a little bit less than the conventional Titan. I think he's like 150, right? And so most Titans are about 2. So this guy gets $50 a bit shaved off. I might be wrong about that. I'll definitely throw something on screen if I'm wrong about that. But regardless, again, you guys can tell me whether you feel this guy is rightful to be a Titan or should have just been a Commander class, with a leader class size or something like that, right? I would love to hear what you guys think about that in the comments below. That's just how I personally feel. You feel free to disagree with it. Also, correct me in the comments below if I've had anything wrong with any of the accessories or anything, because again, this is a character, or the version of a character I'm not super familiar with, but he does look really cool. So, yeah, I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll leave a link in the description to that. I'll also leave links to Hasbro Pulse, as well as Amazon, if you guys wish to buy this guy on those websites instead. And if you are hunting this guy IRL, I imagine this guy should be, hitting stores relatively soon, if not already, especially if you're, like, on the West Coast or whatever. More than likely you'll get things before I do, especially I don't live in a big area, and even in the bigger cities near me, sometimes most stores don't even have, figures like this, or, like, the newest releases, right? And so, yeah, I think that's really it. So I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe. Share this video with your friends. Also follow me on the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review. Catch you on the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.